Hey everyone, Ray DelVecchio here from websiteprofitcourse.com. Today you're going to learn how Google AdWords works. So I'm going to discuss the basic concepts that you need to know. You'll learn some of the terminology and a little bit of the overall strategy before you start spending money with Google. If you've never used Google AdWords before, you may not know how powerful it really is. And it's a sophisticated platform that allows you to create a variety of ads all in one place. And this is how Google makes about 90% of their revenue. So the ad types that you can create include search. That's the most obvious. When you search Google, the majority of the time you're going to see 2 to 3 ads before you see any organic results. And then once again, if it's a really popular topic or really competitive search term, you'll probably see even more ads at the bottom of the page. Then you have display ads, which are basically just banner ads. This can be in a variety of formats as well. They can just be simply text ads that are displayed on other websites, or you can do images. There's also ways to do animation. Next up, you have video ads, and these are YouTube ads. So YouTube ads are integrated into AdWords. And these are also displayed throughout the display network on third-party websites. And the last one that I have mentioned here is remarketing. So with Google, you can build audiences based on people who visited your website, and you can show ads to them after they visit your website. And you can do that for all these different formats, for search, for display, and for video. Now, in terms of setting up a campaign, there's 3 levels that you need to consider. And the first is the campaign level. Some of your campaigns might be seasonal. They might only run for a month or 2 months, maybe 3 months. And then other campaigns are going to be ongoing. So for instance, your remarketing campaign is probably a campaign you're going to set up once. You might tweak it, but you're going to have it running over and over again so that all the new customers that visit your website see your brand in the future and you stay on top of mind. Now under the campaign level, you have ad groups. So this is where you test various sets of ads. And the ad groups are going to be linked to keywords. So you're going to design your ad groups around the keywords that you want to target. And you want to make sure that you break that down enough that you write ads that are specific to those keywords. And later on in this video, we'll talk about a few rules of thumb that you can use when creating ad groups and ads. Now, most of the settings are taken care of at the campaign level, and this is specifically where you set your daily budget and your location targeting. In general, you want to consider how much you spend per month, or how much you're willing to spend per month on ads, and then divide that by 30 to get your daily budget, and their system will operate around that number and make sure at the end of the month you're close to whatever your monthly target is. And then for the location targeting, you can go either as granular or as wide as you want. So if you want to advertise globally, you can do that. You want to choose country by country, you can go that way, or you can even go down to the city level. And here's a visual representation of your AdWords account. So you have one AdWords account where you handle all your billing, and then you create your campaigns within that account, and then under the campaigns you're going to test your ad groups that have different keywords and different ads. And then over time, by optimizing and measuring your data, you're going to see which ones are actually driving traffic, leads, and most importantly conversions, whether that's a sign up or a sale. And that's ultimately how you find success with Google advertising. You know, you're not going to set up the perfect campaign from day one. You got to take advantage of all the numbers that they give you and then constantly improve on that. Here are 2 examples for potential companies and how they might set up their campaigns. So example number 1 is a landscape supply company. They might create a campaign for bulk delivery, especially in the spring season, you know, right after winter when people are beginning to tend to their lawns and their gardens. And you might divide up that campaign into the ad groups based around the individual products that they sell. So mulch, stones, sand, compost, and topsoil. The second example here is an auto shop. They might want to run a campaign to find recurring customers, and the 2 services that they offer that are recurring or that bring them the most customers would be oil change and tire rotation. And let's take this a step further and say that, let's say their goal is to book appointments through their website and grab an email address from these people. I actually do work for a auto body company, although I just do their website. They don't do Google advertising. But I know they're hooked into an email system that automatically sends notifications every, say, 3 months or 4 months saying, hey, you had your last oil change on this date. It might be time to schedule again. So a company like them could potentially use a two-step solution here where you bring customers in the door through Google AdWords and you get the recurring business through email marketing. At this point, you might be asking yourself, how much does it cost to play? How much does it cost to get involved with Google AdWords? And there's a few advantages to the system. The main one is that you're only paying for clicks. So you only pay when somebody clicks through your ad and lands in your website. So you don't pay per impression like some other advertising platforms. And because you have a general idea of what the person wants on the other end based on what they're searching for, it's usually some of the highest quality traffic that you can get online. Now, the only downside here is that because it's become probably the most well-known advertising system, which may at this point be taken over by Facebook ads, but it's got a lot of competition. So in the early days, before I even got involved, I remember reading stories about people saying that you can pay pennies per click, and it's usually not the case anymore for competitive keywords or even local keywords. But as long as you have a trustworthy website, as long as the company is established and has some type of brand recognition, you definitely want to get involved with AdWords to boost your business and make sure that you're capturing as many quality leads as possible. Now, the other good thing about Google AdWords is that they give you this quality score and they assign it to all the keywords that are on your account. The three main factors are the first three bullets here, and those are ad relevance, expected click-through rate, and landing page experience. The quality score itself is a 10-point, or it's a number out of 10 points, 1 through 10. And if you're average, if you're at 5 or 6, you're going to pay an average rate. Now, if you have a high quality score, if you're going up to 9 or 10, then Google is going to reward you by making you pay less per click. So as you improve your account over time and you get higher and higher quality scores, you should get actually better results for less money. The converse of that is that if your quality score is really low, they don't think you have a good match between the keyword, the ad, and the landing page, then you're going to have to pay a premium just to get listed on there. And with Google, you set the amount that you want to pay per click. So you could go into your account and say, I want to pay $2 per click, and then let the system run, and you're going to figure out whether or not your ad's showing. So if your ad doesn't show, you're probably going to have to boost the amount that you bid per click. And if your ad is showing, then you'll get to see what position it is and whether you want to adjust that. And then once you gather enough data, they're going to assign the quality score to you, and you can work from there. And this is why ad relevance is so important, because this is what Google cares about the most. They don't want to show ads that are not relevant just because you bid more than your competitor. And one of the main signals for that is the click-through rate. So they have the data for the expected click-through rate for all these different terms and all the various advertisers that have bid for those terms over the years. And Google knows what your click-through rate should be based on your ad position. And if you're above that, you're going to be rewarded. If you're below that, then you need to bump it up. Similarly, they understand the landing page experience, and they know the content that's on the landing page. So if your landing page isn't a good match for the keyword, that's going to factor into your quality score. And the last thing that I put on here is conversions, because ultimately, you don't want to optimize it just for quality score. You don't want to optimize just for click-through rate. The most important thing, as I said previously, is conversions. You want to make sure that your advertising budget is converting to actual customers. And so through AdWords, you can set this up to track phone calls, email signups, purchases, or any other type of Google Analytics goal that you'd like to create. Now, in my experience, I work with a lot of local small businesses that do business offline. So this has been a struggle for me. I've actually really wanted to work with a nationwide company that does some type of e-commerce, because once you get the systems in place, it's a lot easier to know exactly what you're paying and what your return on investment is. Whereas with local home services, it's a little bit abstract unless you do some type of higher level call tracking. So here's a quick example of a Google search ad. I typed in oil change, and the first 4 results that came up were all advertisements. And you can tell the ads from the organic results from the little ad notification up here in the green box. Anytime I'm going to set up a campaign for a new business, I just start typing in keywords that I think we might want to use, and I'll do my best to reverse engineer, the different headline options that seem to be working well, and kind of play with the copywriting from there to customize it to my client. There's no need to reinvent the wheel. Obviously, you want a unique selling proposition, but there's no reason to do this from scratch before you take a look at other ads that are out there that people are paying for. And just to quickly recap with these search campaigns, you set up your ad groups with keywords. When somebody types in a keyword, that's going to trigger the advertisement. You set your maximum cost per click, and every time somebody searches, you can view that kind of like a mini auction. And Google's going to take all the advertisers that have bid, and they're going to determine your placement amongst them based on the amount you bid plus your relevance, which boils down to that quality score. And the higher the quality score, the less you're going to pay. The next most important step when setting up your campaign is knowing the keyword match types. So there's 4 keyword match types that you need to understand. The first one being broad. On here I have the example kitchen remodeling. So this is going to trigger ads when somebody types anything related to kitchen remodeling. It doesn't have to necessarily contain those 2 terms. The next one is modified broad. So by adding a plus sign in front of each keyword, you're telling Google that you absolutely want those keywords to show up within the user search, but it doesn't necessarily have to be in any order. So for example, if somebody typed in, I need to find a contractor to remodel my kitchen, that would be triggered by this modified broad keyword of plus kitchen plus contractor. The next one is phrase search, which is a little bit more strict. You're telling Google here that you want the particular phrase to be present within the user search. So this would only trigger if somebody actually typed in kitchen remodeling contractor, but it's also going to appear if somebody types in kitchen remodeling contractor in Texas or kitchen remodeling contractor near me. So as long as that phrase appears somewhere within the search, that's going to trigger your ad. And then the most strict keyword method is exact match. So this is any keywords within the square brackets, and as the name suggests, you're telling Google, I only want to show this keyword if somebody types in this exact search. And they will sometimes show close variants, so like a plural or something like that. It may pop up with the exact match, but these are the 4 that you need to consider. And obviously you're going to get the most impressions from broad keywords, but with that match type, you're not 100% sure of the quality of that traffic. And if you take that down to the exact level, it's the opposite. You're going to get very, very little traffic for your exact keywords. You might only get 10 or 20 impressions for an entire year, but you're going to know exactly what the person is searching for. And then the last thing that you can add is negative keywords. So say for instance, this kitchen remodeler did not want to include bathroom remodeling. They might put bathroom as a negative keyword within their campaign, or you can even do that at the ad group level as well. In general, if most of your ad groups are broad or modified broad keywords, you're probably going to want to include some negative keywords to negate against traffic that's unrelated. And if most of your keywords are exact or phrase match, you might not need to worry about the negative keywords as much because you have a little bit more control that way. Now here are a few examples of display advertising, banner advertising on the Google Display Network. And you see these ads pretty much everywhere. I mean, they're really big on media websites and other informational websites that don't necessarily have a business component to them. They usually monetize through these display ads. And I'm always interested in seeing how companies, especially bigger companies that have a big advertising budget, design these ads. So I usually save them whenever I'm browsing around. I used to use an ad blocker, but once I got into marketing and advertising, I decided that it would be best to look at these things and see how the targeting works, see how I'm being targeted, and also how these companies are conveying their message for a product or service. So if you'd like to download 100 plus of these banner ad examples, I'm going to put these together. Just go to websiteprofitcourse.com/banners and you'll have a bunch of examples to get you started. So here are some details on how you can set up a display campaign. They accept three main ad formats, and they have a few other more elaborate ones, but the main ones are images, so you can upload your images. This can include GIF files if you would like to do some type of animation. They have a website builder, a responsive website builder that is going to adapt to the different ad sizes. If you really want to have full customization over your ad, you can actually build an ad with HTML5 and JavaScript code. They have a few tutorials on how to do that, but this allows you to build another layer of animation into your advertisement. Display advertising is the advertiser end of Google AdSense. So Google AdSense is the code that you can paste on your website and make money that way. You get a cut of whatever the advertiser pays. Those advertisements are set up through Google AdWords. And when it comes to display campaigns, unlike Google search, keywords are not necessarily the best ways to target. This might be more demographic oriented, and you can either select your placements domain by domain, or you can select demographics by affinity audience, which this is just a bunch of different categories that Google lets you choose from. And then they have in-market audiences, which they explain this as people that are ready to buy whatever category you choose based on their user activity. In general, the display network clicks are going to be a lot cheaper compared to Google search clicks, but I think you probably need to do more testing to figure out exactly what audiences are going to work best for you. Here's an example of video advertising. So I just took a screenshot of this video ad that was playing before a video that I watched on YouTube. And obviously this is an in-stream ad where you can skip the ad after 5 seconds with the button on the bottom right-hand side here. And then the link to the landing page is in the bottom left. And with that, you can either link to your website or you can link directly to your YouTube channel page. The nice thing about the video campaigns is that they run mostly on YouTube, but also on the display network on other media websites that have videos. And what I just showed you was an in-stream ad. They also have video discovery ads where they place a thumbnail on the right-hand sidebar of the YouTube watch page, and if somebody clicks on that and views, then you pay. You can target YouTube by keyword, by topic, or by channel, and then also by demographic. And in my experience, the keyword targeting on YouTube could be a lot better. I still need to test out exact match and phrase match keywords, but I noticed that if you do broad match, you're going to get traffic from people that are watching videos that have absolutely nothing to do with your keywords. I found a lot of rap videos and pop music videos and all these random music oriented videos for topics that had absolutely nothing to do with music when I was trying to do YouTube search. So you have to be a little careful there with your targeting. But the great thing about YouTube ads is that you only pay for a view. And in this case, a view equals either 30 seconds watched or the first interaction. So if somebody clicks on your ad, that's going to count and you're going to pay. But say, for instance, somebody watches the first 10 seconds of your video, they decide it's not for them, and they click the skip button, you're not going to pay for that. That's going to be free. With video, you have probably the highest level of engagement. People are going to remember you a little bit better through a video ad versus a display ad or a Google search ad. So it's a good idea to have a holistic approach when you're creating a marketing campaign for a business. The last thing that I want to mention here is remarketing. And this is your second chance to win over customers. You can build remarketing audiences based on people that have already visited your website. With that, you can even segment down to specific URLs that they've viewed. So if you have 5 services, if you target people that viewed one particular service page, then you can create an ad specific to that service. And you can do the same thing with YouTube viewers, people that have watched your videos, either all of them or specific videos that you choose. And if you have a big enough email list, you can also upload your email list, and they will try and match that with any Google users or using their advertising cookie. Remarketing campaigns are something that most businesses should consider setting up, because if you're going to spend money advertising and you don't have any experience, you're probably going to do better advertising to people who already know about your company or your brand name versus somebody who has never heard of you before. The way that you're going to succeed on AdWords is by having advertisements that stand out from your competitors. And if you've never heard the phrase ad creative, that basically just means all of the components that make up your advertisement. So the most important aspects of this are going to be your headlines, especially for Google search ads and display advertising. You want to make sure that your headlines spark some type of interest or emotion, maybe get at a pain point of a potential customer, or show them the potential of what their life would be like with your product or your service. Definitely don't want to focus on the features of your product or your service. You want to focus on the benefits, and make sure that if you can't include a benefit on the headline, you might be able to add that to the description. For display and video ads, obviously the videos you use and the images you use can be vastly, vastly different. So there's pretty much an infinite number of ways that you can test that compared to a Google search ad, which kind of has to be relevant to whatever keywords you're targeting. Then on top of that, you might want to come up with some special or creative offers that you can give to your customers or potential customers to get them to click your ad. And all of your ads should have a clear call to action. What you'll see even with display advertisements is they usually contain a button graphic. Even though the ad itself is just a one-layer image, you have the perception of a button on there with whatever call to action text you choose. I usually try and make this a verb, so download, learn more, etc. Just depends on whatever you're offering. And here's a few more general tips to creating a winning campaign. In terms of management, I think you want to limit your ad groups to about 10 to 20 keywords. In the early days, I used to use keyword combination tools and put in all exact match keywords and literally have like about 2,000 keywords in an ad group. And that just becomes so hard to manage, and then you don't gather enough data per keyword to see what keywords are actually performing. So I normally like to start with a couple broad match modified keywords to find that balance between enough traffic but also understanding the exact search term that the person's going to be searching in. And then from the ad standpoint, you want to create 3 ads per ad group. And if you have your settings set to optimize, Google will automatically do this. I think they even use artificial intelligence to do this for you. So years ago, what you might have had to do manually and test manually, they kind of figure it out on the fly for you. So I did a couple consultation calls with Google representatives, and this is what they recommended to me. And here's another concept that I struggled with at the beginning. You want to test big, different ideas to find the big winners. In the early days, I used to, type in a plural version of a word versus the singular version of a word and split test that. And it's like you're basically showing them the exact same ad. But if you test 2 completely different headlines, 2 completely different images, 2 completely different offers, you're more likely to find a big winner versus testing the same offer with a variation in color between one advertisement and the other. And you're eventually going to lead yourself to results with incremental improvements. You're not going to set up a perfect campaign from day one. You have to take advantage of all the metrics that they let you measure and figure out which ad groups and which keywords are driving you the most results, and dedicate more of your budget towards that once you figure that out. And there's so many different ways that you can test different locations, ads, ad groups, keywords, demographics, audiences. So the number of combinations that you can test is pretty much infinite. So as long as you're always testing and working towards one specific goal, you're more likely to achieve that. The last thing you want to do is set up an AdWords campaign and then touch it once per year or once every 6 months. I'm normally monitoring things almost on a daily basis, if not a weekly basis. Last up, you want to consider using those remarketing audiences to create your first display and video ads. I spent so much time in Google search campaigns before I even looked into how to create display and video advertising. But I think remarketing is probably an underutilized aspect of the Google AdWords platform. So I think it is the perfect way to get into the image and video ads with a small budget. Here's a few tips on how to improve performance of your campaigns over time. The most important thing is knowing the end customer, because obviously, from the search perspective, you got to know what they're typing in. From the display perspective, you should understand the demographics. And then on top of that, there's also ways that you can adjust your bid to get better performance. So one way is through ad scheduling. If your ads are running from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m., but maybe you get most of your calls from 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. or 10 to 1, you can increase your bid during that time period. Or you can also do bid adjustments by device. So you might be getting more conversions on mobile or on tablet versus the computer, or vice versa, and increase or decrease your bid adjustments however you'd like to do that. And AdWords is a dynamic environment. Like I said, it's an auction. Every single ad is an auction. The AdWords system is always changing. The competitive landscape is always changing. And if you're actually trying to succeed, you're going to always be testing and changing yourself. So it's something that you need to stay on top of, and you have to familiarize yourself with the platform to really succeed. You're not going to follow a tutorial on YouTube once and figure out exactly how to set up the perfect plan like I mentioned before. The success comes through analyzing the results of your ad spend. So in the initial phases, you're almost paying to learn. And if you come close to breaking even, that might be good enough in the initial months, and you can optimize to the point where you're getting a better and better ROI. And that's going to be completely based on what you consider a conversion to be. So you have to have the conversion tracking in place with AdWords. You can also tie in your Google Analytics goals to become a conversion within AdWords. So make sure that you set those up the right way and test them out. And that's always a better metric to go by than click-through rate. But having said that, you still do want to monitor all your key performance indicators. You want your click-through rate to be high, but if it's high and it's not leading to leads, or it's leading to a higher cost per conversion, that is not going to be beneficial. So make sure that you're monitoring the KPI, key performance indicators, and for the most part, that's going to be your leads, what you're paying per lead, and at the lower level, your click-through rate and your cost per click. So that's all I got for this video. I wanted this to be right around about 30 minutes, and I specifically didn't go into the campaign setup, or at least the screencast side of things, because I'm going to do that and record it for my subscribers. I'm going to be creating a real campaign for one of my clients. They just texted me 2 weeks ago about getting set up with Google Ads. So if you want to see exactly how to set up a real campaign for a local business, go to websiteprofitcourse.com/plan, and I offer this service to my clients along with website building and managing their online reputation. So I offer pretty much every part of my business plan through my website and a business plan membership. You'll see everything that I offer there, including sales materials, spreadsheets. I have a few video tutorials in the works. I'm going to show you how to link in your AdWords to your Google Analytics and also Google Tag Manager. And I'm also going to include an easy-to-follow checklist that goes through everything that we went through in this video. That's a great thing to download and keep handy when you're creating a Google campaign. I'll include a link for that within this video in the top right or in the description below. What I want to end with is that if you're somebody who has experience with websites, has experience with social media, and are just considering getting into advertising, I highly recommend it, because that's where you can really control growth of a business. And as a freelancer, your value is going to be a lot higher when you become an idea machine and start planning out these campaigns for small businesses, as opposed to just being an order taker or just somebody who's going to deliver a nice website but not get into the traffic generation and lead generation side of things. So really, you want to insert yourself into these transactions of your clients. Don't be just a commodity. Get involved with their business, understand their business, figure out ways that you can promote their business. And I find that this is a great way to promote yourself. When you start working with clients, they pay you month after month to learn these tools, and then eventually down the road, when you have an idea yourself for a business, an online business, you're going to be much better equipped to find success with your own ideas and not be limited to working with clients or finding one-off jobs here and there. So I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you learned a thing or two about the Google AdWords platform. And if you're interested in learning more about WordPress, websites, website marketing, and freelancing, go to my site, websiteprofitcourse.com. Check out what I have to offer there. And be sure to subscribe to my channel. Give this video a thumbs up if you liked it. And I will see you on the next video.